for joining me. I'm here in the kitchen today to talk motherhood, showbiz and all that jazz with the wonderful Brooke Shields. But before I cook, let me introduce the people who'll join us later in the show to discuss agony and handbags, because life is, after all, both light and shade. I'm delighted to welcome my dead ringer, Jan Ravens.
Hello, Nigella. Nice to see you in the flesh at last.
And you too.
Thank you.
And my dear friend, the warm and perky Maria McCurlane.
Hello, Nigella. It's so lovely to see two sets of gorgeous eyebrows in such a close proximity together. It's a marvellous sight.
Thank you. And welcome to you all. Are you up for a bit of cooking? I won't make you do anything too much.
Absolutely. I can be your sous chef. I want to learn. I've promised my husband that I would become more adept in the kitchen. So this is a good start.
Does he cook much?
He's very good. He's a good cook.
But you know, eaters are just as important as cooks in households.
I'm an eater.
That's
definitely
okay then.
an eater.
I know. Do you know what? I would really begin to go off you if you told me you didn't like eating.
Oh, no, I love eating. I love food.
Okay, well then, I'm going to make this for you, and one of the reasons why I chose it's my Ritzy chicken nuggets, was because although I know your daughter is only 2 now, soon this will be what you need to be cooking her for her tea, and I cook it for my children. These are very good for you and very easy to make, and understandably enough,
love them.
Chicken nuggets take chicken, and that's some chicken breast, which I just snipped up and put in this very attractive bag.
Okay.
But that's only because it saves washing up later rather than put it in a bowl. And I steep these in buttermilk, and that makes them both very tender, because you know how I think the white meat of chicken can be tough, and it also gives them a nice tang. But if you can't get buttermilk, you can just use runny natural yogurt, so no, don't worry.
Do you leave it?
Well, I'm a lazy person, so I like to do everything in advance and just forget about it. So I have left them for 2 days, but if you just had half an hour, it'd be okay. I only do very forgiving recipes, because otherwise life's too complicated. And then Ritz crackers, which I smash up itself rather than nice work. And then, in fact, you can let your daughter do it. And that just makes, you know, this for the breadcrumbs, just to coat them. Now, the thing is, obviously, they have got salt and sugar, but I don't think one needs to get too worried about these things, you know?
That's why it's going to taste good.
Exactly. So I've got the pan on with some oil. I'm going to put this buttermilk here, and your first task as sous chef is you're on squelching duty. Okay. So if I just give you this and you squelch, I haven't fastened it, so be careful of your dress.
Okay.
And while you start squelching, I'll get my Ritz crackers ready.
Okay.
Isn't it a rather nice feeling, or am I just sick?
No.
Yeah, it is quite
and
good,
if you've
isn't
got
it?
tired eyes, you can...
Very good.
It's very handy in the kitchen.
It is, yes, I find it's like those
nice,
executive
cool.
toys.
She'll love
I think
to do
you've done
this
enough,
as
but
well.
if you want to carry on, just carry on. I'm getting on with the crackers. Another plastic bag. I hate to think what I'm doing to the environment. So the crackers go here. You could use breadcrumbs, obviously, but I do this, and then you just mash them up like this, which I won't do a lot now. I quite like that, makes a noise. Children love that.
You'd love to do that.
Or a processor, just the magic TV. Some elves have come in and crushed them up and put them here. Now, are you ready to part with them?
I'm ready to part.
So these have been marinating in the fridge, and now this is dirty work, but I quite like that. So you take them out and toss them in here, and then... And children like this, doing this, you see, because it's like playing in, you know, sand castles or mud pies.
Like Play-Doh.
So I'm just going to put a few in. I know, I like that. There's something very relaxing about this sort of cooking, I think. Now, I'm putting these in the pan, but when I'm at home, I often really just put them in, say, 200-degree oven for about 25 minutes. And I did this. It's one of those interesting things, how recipes, you know, are brought along by people. I was at a book signing, and one of my readers said, you know, I really like your nuggets, but I do them in the oven, and I hadn't, so now I learnt something from her, which I like. I'm just going to go and wash my hands. It's an attractive look, isn't it?
It's very nice.
Now, as always...
Is that olive oil in there?
It's just regular oil, because there's no point wasting olive oil when you're frying, I think.
That's true.
You know.
Yeah. I'm absolutely going to try this.
Okay.
I think that I'm a wonderful mom.
You are, I'm sure. I don't think cooking's got anything to do with it. God.
So now, if you did just put them in the oven, the point would be not to use oil, is that
I
if
use
you
no, I do a small film of oil.
Okay.
Because you still need them to roast it, but not a lot. But the thing is, it's just that I find when I fry, because maybe I do everything at too high a temperature, I end up with a nice patina of grease. all over the kitchen counter. I'm going to make you a salad. Okay, there's just little gem lettuce, only because although only my son will eat salad, I can't get the two girls to, but nevertheless, I like to eat these too, and I think it's quite nice to have a kind of grown-up accompaniment. I mean, so I put in some chopped gherkins, a bit like tartar sauce without the sauce, I mean, some parsley and capers, and I make the dressing out of, waste not, want not, the brine from the gherkin jar, and some olive oil and a bit of Dijon mustard. So you could just use ordinary vinegar. You could use vinegar. But I have to say, Brooke, I can't. I mean, I have no training. I'm not a chef. So I reckon, and I'm not saying this to be kind of disingenuous. It's true. If I can do it, anyone can, because I'm just, you know, a regular messy cook. Some parsley. Would you like to toss the salad?
Sure, I would love to toss the salad. Yeah, but the thing is, this is. I've always said that I've gotten insecure when it comes to cooking because I've felt that I needed to have training or that I wasn't. I don't
you
have.
Mustn't be insecure. You know, I have to say one thing. If you needed qualifications or training to cook, I mean, human beings would have kind of fallen out of the evolutionary loop a long time ago. You know?
Absolutely. But there is sort of a flair. I mean, it's much easier for me to follow a recipe than just sort of, you know, invent something or put a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
But if you did the same recipe more than once, you would do it again, you'd start doing it. I think everyone thinks they have to be like a restaurant, having huge amounts, and you just don't. Okay, I'm getting these. Can you put that on your plate? Do you mind, sir? It's like being in a cafe. Serve yourself. Do you mind just putting that on your plate?
No. Where's your plate?
I'm going to eat off yours. I always think food tastes better on someone else's plate.
Whatever my husband orders is always what I want.
I know, but is he nice and does he let you have it?
He does. Oh. He's good. He's good about it. Yeah. Very, very good about it.
I'm going to turn this off before I have a fire.
Okay.
I'm going to give you some here. I know it's kind of ostensibly children's food, but I have requests from grown-ups who happen to drop round at tea time and they want this, so...
I would worry the next time someone says, I like your nuggets, though. I would get a bodyguard.
Don't burn your mouth.
I almost want to eat them with my fingers almost.
Well, you can do, as long as you don't burn yourself, that's all. Comfort food, really.
It's really, really good.
Now, I've just finished reading your book, which I just thought was a staggering account of postnatal depression. But, I mean, that sounds like it's a grim book, and it's not a grim book. Have you had enormous response from other women because of it?
I really have, and I was hoping that it would have hit some sort of a chord. I mean, but I didn't expect it to be this large. I mean, I've been getting from all walks of life. Women have been writing to me, men have been writing to me. I've been seeing them, and the more that the subject is sort of talked about, the more people are willing to share their stories, and it's been quite extraordinary because it's very quickly gotten off my story, and it's become sort of a platform for people to share.
But I do think there is slightly, I don't know if you think, a conspiracy to pretend that everything is easier, even if you don't have, in a way, the ravages of postnatal depression that you did. You know, I couldn't love my daughter more, but life was very difficult after she was born. And I remember everyone saying things like, isn't this like the best love affair you've ever had? And you feel, actually, I feel insecure and I don't know who I am. It feels like the worst love affair. It takes a while for the love affair to work.
It takes a while to fall in love in the way that you thought it would be and the way you sort of dreamt it would be, because there's so many other factors that you're really not informed of, and I think people don't want to tell you the truth. They don't want to say you'll be scared, you'll be tired, and that's under the best circumstances. You know, if it is your first child, you won't know what's hit your life. There's no manual for it. There's nothing. It'll raise questions in your life that you never even thought of. I mean, there's so much that goes on psychologically, emotionally, physically, and even, again, under the best of circumstances.
But do you think as well you had kind of an awful lot of pressure because you'd been a model and an actor since so young that it makes you into something of a perfectionist, and suddenly there's this ultimate test in a way, and you feel...
Well, I think that publicly, you know, we're sort of, the images that we get, I could have sort of avoided the images myself and said, you know, that doesn't pertain to me, and because of having been in the public eye for so long, you would think that I would be used to it and understand where reality really is. But I fed right into the image as deeply as I could have imagined. I always dreamt that it would be instant love at first sight. My hair would cascade down, I would glow, the baby would look up at me, and our eyes would meet, and my future would be secure. And I mean, it was just all of this And then Hollywood, as well as the press, they sort of paint these images of, and look, you can get skinny in a week. And if you're, you know, the kind of mother that you are, is you can immediately know where your career is and what you're doing, and you just can do it. It's just too much pressure.
And also, you know, I feel that you had such, and have, I'm sure, such a famously intense relationship with your own mother. Do you think that triggered something because you'd had a daughter?
I think absolutely. I mean, I think that I would have strangely, I've always wanted a daughter. I mean, that's sort of, you know, when you play with little dolls, as a kid, you know, I had that. But what it did was it immediately caused me to analyze my own relationship with my mother, because I was very much looking at what I thought was an extension of me, very much the way I'm sure my mother did. And so it made me sort of wonder where I stopped, where my daughter started, and even where my mother was, where I was not my mother. I mean, when I watch myself respond to my daughter, and I realize it's different than the way my mother reacted in any situation, I'm constantly surprised how much I'm not like my mother.
And does it make you kind of reevaluate some of your relationship with your mother in maybe a critical way? For example, do you think your daughter is 2 now? In 10 years' time, would you want her to be in Pretty Baby?
You know, I mean, part of it is situation. I mean, part of it is I am much more critical of my mother, and part of me is much more understanding of my mother. Pretty Baby, I mean, honestly, to be honest, I think is one of the only good movies I've ever really made. I mean, when I look back, when I think of, I mean, Endless Love as well, but because of the director, and that is something I'm truly proud of, and I enjoyed making it. So I don't recall it with any angst. The entertainment industry alone, I wouldn't wish her to want to be in, because it is based on insecurity, and it is difficult, and it's not a lot of fun. And I happen to really know that I'm an actress, and that's what I want to be. But I started so young. I mean, if she came to me and said, "Mom, this is what I want to do," I would do everything I could to make it possible, as long as she went to school.
Yeah.
Because that's something that if she has that, she will be able to do whatever she wants.
Can I say something to you on a very, very light and frivolous note, although very, very important? I want to thank you on behalf of all women for ensuring that we didn't have to pluck our eyebrows.
Thank you.
Because it made such a difference, because you know, I don't like it when you have to have those really, really thin, you know, the pencil ones, and you changed that. You changed that, so thank you, thank you. For pure frivolity, we're talking handbags, or clutch bags to be precise. The clutch, in case you're interested, girls, made its debut in the 30s and hit high fashion in the 50s, and now it's back again. Hurrah! And I have here 4 of the latest designs. Now, can you, or we for that matter, tell the expensive ones from the cheaper versions? And what do we think of them, anyway?
So I didn't realise that the clutch ever went out of fashion, actually.
I know, but that's you, Maria. If I may say...
Fair enough.
Please, you... This is bag A. It's kind of very much an evening clutch bag, isn't it?
It's the sort of thing that your mum would have, frankly.
Feels like a bridal piece.
I quite like it, but it does feel a bit old lady.
I think clutch bags in general are very awkward, because you've always got to hold them. You know, you can never sling it over your shoulder.
And you've got a cigarette, you've got
your
glass
wine.
It's a frightening word. It just
It
sounds,
is. It sounds
like
desperate.
You're afraid. You're clutching.
But do you like it or not like it? Are we saying yes or no?
I don't like
No,
that.
this hasn't done very well. I'm going to let you know. You think it's cheap?
Yeah, I think it's cheap. I don't think it's cheap, but I definitely think it's cheaper than some of the others.
OK, I'm going to let you know this is Anya Heinmott, £190.
Oh,
top of the range.
Wow.
We have bag B for Brooke,
Yes,
because we
B
can
for
spell.
Brooke, because this...
And you have a tail.
It should be in a dressage event, this one.
I know.
Absolutely. Maybe this... Well,
I'm liking
you
that.
don't just
On you
have
it
to,
looks good.
I do actually like this. It's
Is it
very
raffia or
Fendi.
leather?
It's leather.
Leather.
Yes.
Very sort of
Yes, it is
Fendi-esque.
nice. No,
I
it
think that
nice
looks
with you.
expensive.
It does look expensive.
That's just because she's holding it.
Yeah, that's true. Wait till you get to mine.
What do you think, Jan?
I think it looks expensive. I would say that's a couple of £100 worth.
I think I'd say it's higher than that. I'd say
What was that, 180?
190, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'd say it was higher. I'd say maybe 250 or something. Yeah.
What do you think before you cheat
300?
and look?
I didn't cheat. I think it's more expensive than that.
I think it's less expensive than that.
OK.
Okay.
Would you like to give us your reveal?
Ooh, I was 500.
Wow. £550. Jan, would you like to model yours?
It's very sparkly.
It is very sparkly.
It's very sparkly indeed, but it is this sort of unpleasant purple colour again.
It's obviously fashionable and we haven't noticed.
Yeah.
Not for summer, really, I don't think.
I think it's expensive, though.
Do you?
I
Okay,
do.
well, I'll let you know.
I think it's a proper designed piece.
Okay.
Brooke,
I
would you like to proffer?
well, I do think the minute you get rhinestones, it ups the price, but I don't think it's that expensive.
It ups the price, but not the class, frankly.
No,
Okay,
that's
higher
the
or
problem.
lower?
I'm
Do
going...
you think it's higher or lower than your swishy one?
Oh, I think it's lower than my swishy. I think it's lower than my swishy.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's got to be.
Oh, no. Oh, my God! Oh, I'm so
God,
uninformed.
Lulu Guinness,
I'm so off the mark.
£795.
Sorry, I didn't speak then, did I?
You don't need to, that was eloquent.
Can I touch it?
So,
Yeah.
Maria, can we look at yours?
I've got a horrible feeling that I've got the... I've got the Primark one, yeah. They give me the cheap one every time. I'm always on the edge. But although, can I just say, it has a bit of weight to it, so that doesn't indicate necessarily cheap. I
Brooke, think next you have.
Oh,
God,
so
I've been so off the mark.
This is your chance to redeem yourself.
It is, but I would say the
Come on,
weight
higher
of
or
that
lower?
would
That's what you
lower
said.
than this one.
Okay, what
But-
it'd have to be just.
It's got to be. This is actually from Accessorize, and it's a bargain at £30.
It is. It's
Ladies,
very
that's
good.
more like it, isn't it?
I think our favourite is bag B anyway, but now we're going to ask our audience which bag they like the best. Now you've got to vote now, A, B, C or D. Yes, bag B, 48%. Obviously, nearly half, and you can agree with us, so obviously you are persons of discernment and great taste. Now we've got to the part of the show where we talk about viewers' dilemmas. The problem we're talking about today is step-families and the complications and tensions that can go with them. Now, Brooke's joining me here because I know she's got something to say about it, and you have experience.
I do. I mean, having been sort of my father remarried and had 3 children with his wife, and then she already previously had 2 children. So I was definitely thrown into...
Scrum. And I have experience too, as a child and as a parent, actually. So on the line now is Catherine from Bedford. Hello?
Hello.
Hi. So, Catherine, do you want to talk a bit about what's worrying you?
Yes, my husband and I both have sons from previous relationships, and we also have a child between us now. My husband's son only comes to us every 2 weeks, but my son lives with us permanently. So we don't really know how to treat them equally when they're together, or even if we should, because my stepson needs some special attention from his dad, who he only sees every 2 weeks.
Well, I think that the difficulty is you can't treat children equally in the sense that you can't pretend, say, to your son that your husband, has the same feelings towards his own son and yours, in the same way as you could say to your son, look, you obviously have stronger feelings for me than you do for your stepfather. I think it's important people are honest, and then they can build a proper relationship. But I do think it is incredibly important to try, I suppose, to discuss things, but discuss things in a calm way. I mean, I have to come clean here to say that probably the only thing that I ever argue with my husband about is about our children or between us, because it is very fraught. Because as a mother, I think you can perhaps be very protective of a child and slightly wind them up to feel either jealous or resentful without meaning to, just because as a mother you feel that way. Is that what you think the problem is, that you get hurt?
We're very protective and defensive over each of our own sons, and that's sometimes to the detriment of our relationship or each other's stepson.
And I think that's true. What would you say as having been a child in this position?
Well, only the one thing that I can say from my experience is that one of the things that I had the hardest time with was when my father remarried, I had no time with him alone.
I had exactly the same. It's important.
I mean, I
not
think
to
my
have that.
father was young when I was born, so I think there was our relationship was again fraught as well, just because I think he didn't really know how to handle a little kid. But they were divorced at when I was such a young child. But once he had this family intact, I was meant to just go over there and be part of a big happy family, and none of it was true. I mean, we grew into our friendships with my sisters and I, but he then thought, oh, well, I'll give her the family and that will be there, and I won't then have to spend any one-on-one time with her. And the times I would be upset, I would think to myself, which didn't help my relationship with them, I was your first daughter. That would come into my mind. I was your first daughter. I was the number one. And you'd want to say that to your siblings.
Yeah.
If we were in a fight, I probably did. But it seems that there should be not. I don't think you can treat children equally, but you can give them equal time.
Yes, and you can. Do you feel that's what happens a bit with you, Catherine?
Yes, yes. It's just when my husband's son comes, he wants to take him to the cinema on his own, or even sometimes on a short holiday on his own, or he likes for him to sit in the front of the car, whereas my son's in the back.
I mean, I really do understand your feelings of hurt and resentment, but I think I think you should probably help yourself and your son by sort of making a positive by saying, you know, how great you and I can spend some time together. Let's go and do, you know, because actually he needs some time with you as well by himself. And I'm sure he will grow into the whole step-family thing, but he didn't actually choose it. If he had his way, I'm sure he'd want things to be different. So it's hard, you know, so you have to be patient.
I think that your husband also probably experiences guilt not seeing the child, and then so when he does come, the feeling of, oh, I have to give 100% of my attention completely because of all the time that he didn't. And I mean, there's always a lot of guilt.
I think things do get better as long as you can try and not take it so personally. Just, you know, be a bit patient. And I just want to say thanks for ringing and good luck, and just let it breathe a bit. Now, sadly, I have to say goodbye to Brooke, who's nipping off for this afternoon's matinee performance of Chicago. I'm devastated she's leaving, but anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, here I am finally back in the kitchen. I'm always happy to be here, so don't feel sorry for me. And I'm making you raspberry and oatmeal swirls. Now, no, it sounds very energetic, but in fact, of course, it's very, very straightforward and simple. The swirls are made by layering up crushed biscuits along with raspberries, which I'm pureeing with a bit of sugar and some Greek yogurt. So, the raspberries go in here. I've already made a mess and I haven't started. And with some icing sugar. I mean, you could actually do away with the sugar and instead of having the biscuits, maybe use some oatmeal or something like that, and then they would be very low GI breakfast, but I don't care about that, so I'm just doing this. Like a bit of a power tool. Now, it's really better for someone not as clumsy as me, but it does work. So it's a bit of raspberry, and then I put too much in, so it should be less than that, but anyway, a bit of raspberry, then some yogurt. I think of this in a way as breakfast trifle. I know it sounds odd because it doesn't look breakfasty, but it tastes it really. It's the yogurt and fruit. Some crumbs. There we are. I mean, these are just hobnobs put in a processor, but you can use any biscuit you want. Even, I suppose you could use any cereal. Now, another bit of raspberry. Oh, another bit of yogurt. It's very calming work, this. And then what I do is put this in the fridge overnight, like a trifle, actually, all the flavours kind of deepen. And then I put some crumbs on at the breakfast table the next morning. But I'm just going to get some out of the fridge, which I have here, but to put some crumbs on. And there we are. Raspberry and oatmeal swirls.
But by now, you're so busy marvelling at all my lustrous gorgeousness that you don't give a toss what they taste like anyway.
I don't think there's anything like you, but this is very nice.
Anyway, that just gives me time to say thank you to Maria and to Jan. See you next time. Bye.